Hello, Charno fans. Christopher of the famed duo Charnopher here. Sharna and I are on vacation, but don't fret. We have a very fun and never aired episode for you today. We recorded this in the early fall with a special guest who is very close to our hearts. Enjoy.
Members of the company, this is your places call. Places, please. Places for the top of the podcast. Places, please.
Get ready for a behind-the-scenes look at the glitz and not-so-glam of Broadway, education, and everyday life with Uncommon Sense. Join hosts Christopher Smith and Jerry Lopez as they bring you the best stories and shenanigans that seemingly prove how elusive common sense can really be. So take a little time for yourself to hang out with the dynamic duo Charnopher. And no leaving early, because you might just miss that 11 o'clock number.
Stand by music. Music, go.
Uncommon sense. The 11 o'clock
number. And we are Charnopher.
Hi, everyone.
You people. Hi, everybody. So today for our impromptu episode, as per, well, I won't reveal too much, but I do need to let you know that we have a very special guest named JLO.
People aren't ready for this.
That's right.
I don't think you're ready for this. It's JLO, but it's.
I don't think that's a JLO song.
It's not. It's Beyonce, right? Dang it, that was not great.
JLO had other songs.
Great.
It was not the correct song, but in case you just didn't hear his voice, it's not JLO. It's our JLO, Coach JLO, the one and only Jerry Lopez, the man, the myth, the legend. And full transparency, we finished our last episode and Christopher was like, go see if Jerry will come on. Because we talked about Jerry a lot in the last episode. And I was like, no promises because they're like watching movies and having chill time. But thank you, babe. Thank you, babe, for coming on. We appreciate you.
I had seen Jurassic World Dominion, so, I can pause it.
So you're all good.
Yeah.
So he's giving us 10 minutes of his time.
Well, nonetheless.
For a little discussion.
Yeah, because what happened, if you have not listened to our last episode, you need to go back and do that and then come listen to this episode. Because Sharna had said in our part about talking about conversations that JLo and her conversations go a certain way, and we're going to talk about that.
So I'll reiterate a little bit what I said in our last episode, in that nobody here, clearly my husband and Christopher, who knows me very well, would ever say that I'm a person of few words. I like to talk. All my students know that. All my friends know that. I talk a lot.
You meet you, and within 5 minutes, you know that to be true.
Babe, okay, hold on. Let's pause right there. Did you think that when you first met me? Was that something that you clocked at, like, how much I talked, or that I was, like, kind of wordy in conversations?
I don't think that thought runs through somebody's mind. I think you just kind of get a sense of some people, and if suits me, fine. I'm not really. I think I've always thought that I'm. This is gonna sound weird, but like super uninteresting.
That is not true.
So to let other people speak gives me an opportunity to just let them learn kind of what kind of people they are.
You guys, I just learned this. I did not think you thought that about yourself. Jerry is one of the smartest people I know. Like, if you get a topic going that Jerry knows about, like, he'd be my go-to on any
You'll
game show.
You'll be there all night.
Yeah. Like, he's a wealth of knowledge. But I did not know you thought that. But I told our Charno fans in the last episode that, like, one of the things I love about you is that you can read me super well. So you know when there's like a certain version of a Sharna Jerry conversation where you just need to listen to Sharna.
Yeah.
You know those ones?
Yeah. I mean, you're either fresh off of I don't know, maybe like a tech rehearsal, or you had a parent meeting. There are certain tones. I think it's tones.
There's certain
Yeah,
moments.
but it's the tone, and sometimes it suits me just fine to just ask a question and then sit back and enjoy my cocktail. And
He does it, but he's learned it, and he knows how to read me now too. Where like he can tell. Those are usually the two: a tech rehearsal or a parent interaction, or a really bad day at work, or whatever it may be. And he knows like, okay, she just wants to talk, but he also knows when it's like, I want his opinion, or he'll interject, or something that I want to have more of a conversation with. But I also think,
So he gets an A for awareness.
yes, A+
He
for
would
Jerry
pass
awareness.
our last
yeah, but I
episode.
don't think. Look, I mean, what are we? We'll be 13 years next week.
Next week is our 13-year anniversary.
Married or total dating?
Married. No, married.
Great.
I think we're closer to 17 dating. It just, yeah, you just kind of take a step back. I've never been one to ever really try to dominate a conversation, but the caveat being that I'm in sales too, right? So
I was going to ask about that actually.
yeah, one of the things you learn early on in sales, or at least you hope to learn early on, is that you're not just gonna sell and have that word vomit. You're not gonna learn anything from the client. You're not gonna learn what they need, what they want, the difficulties they've had, unless you just shut up and listen. So I think that kind of still bleeds over into my personal life, where God gave me one mouth and two ears, so I should learn twice as much. Or sorry,
Isn't that great?
twice as much as I speak.
That's a hashtag.
It's true though, and it's something honestly that I've tried to take from him, because, and I said in the last episode, babe, I know you weren't here while we were recording, but I know that I want to say the next thing, and I have the next thing in my brain, and I want to say it, and I try to work on that in like, okay, listen. And I think I take a lot of what you just said into my job, where sometimes, and Christopher, we talked about this, people just need to be heard. They want to say their piece, and they don't need an interjection. They don't need a response. They don't need you to say anything. They just need to talk, and you let them kind of talk and take in the pieces of that conversation that you're going to use in your response or in the following part of the conversation. I definitely learned that from you. I feel like, do you think that I've grown a little bit in my ability to be a better listener? Please say yes.
Well, of course, yes. I think you're I don't think you're the only one who's grown. But sure, yeah, I think you also know when you're kind of given carte blanche to just run with it.
And usually there's a
love-
cocktail waiting for me
Yeah.
too. Like Jerry knows. Like, okay, it's going to be one of those nights, and you're very good at that. Thank you, babe, for being a good listener.
The kids are in bed, and we're just
She does tell me about these things.
I think it's a good, albeit you kind of cut into your sleep time, but it's a good. And we don't journal. I don't journal. You don't journal. But you can kind of recap kind of what happened.
Yeah, it's a good outlet
in the day.
and
Yeah.
even bonding experience.
Totally. And we'll have those days like, and Christopher, we've talked about this just in like schedules. Usually the part of our day that we get to hang out is after the kids are asleep, we'll watch our show or whatever it may be. And then some days, we will just sit and have a conversation, on the couch about whatever happened that day or whatever we're dealing with. And sometimes it is a lot about me and my job, but sometimes it's you too and things that are going on with what you're doing occasionally.
I mean, you have a tendency to just interact. Like I deal with people, but I deal with companies, right? So you're not gonna get the same kind of, I don't know, even just stories or
Emotional
interactions.
shenanigans.
Yeah, because everybody in the business world kind of behaves in a certain way. Where when
So there's norms
there
and
are
standards.
norms, and
that
I know there's
people
norms.
should-
At least there used to be some norms. That
Used to be.
Yeah.
Used to be.
They
It's a
kinda
thing of the
get-
past, JLo.
the lines they get a little blurred, but my interactions on a daily basis don't have a lot of personal undertones. They don't, if a company's got to make a decision to buy something, they're not, whether that guy's kid got a role in a musical or not, that's not,
Yeah.
I mean, at least I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't hear it. He doesn't tell me about it. Obviously different than
Right.
what you're going through.
And a big thing too,
Okay, for
Christopher.
everybody watching, Sharna is on the struggle bus. I thought everybody needs to know she's trying to like lean out and she can't. She's
Because our
attached
dog
to
is in
Jerry
here
with
too.
the
This is what it
earbuds.
means to be a family, friends.
Oh, Winston.
Winston's in here. He was
That's
doing
right.
his squeaky toy and it was making noise. I'm trying to lean, but I can't lean because we're connected with the air.
In fairness, I can't
Jerry
really
will
hear
lean
it.
with me and we'll go like
I
that.
can't
Oh, he's
hear
trying
it.
to get his toy. You can't hear it? Okay, great. He's going to carry on
That's-
with his life.
That's teamwork right there.
I
Lean
will
together.
say, Christopher, and you can kind of attest to this too, I'm sure, with Joy. When we first met, it's kind of like establishing that rhetoric of like, oh, this is my job and these are the people and these are the things I deal with. Now he knows, like, okay, if it's tech week, if it's auditions, if I'm dealing with, like, he kind of knows how to read those weeks, and then he knows the people I talk about too a lot, where he's like, oh, okay, that we're gonna sit down for this one because
Them.
this is a situation that I
Oh,
know
it's
has been a
them.
lot for you, or something that's been really challenging. But what I do love, and I don't know if you agree or disagree, but I find that, especially in the last couple of years when we have conversations about things, the similarities between things I deal with in education and school and theater and things he deals with in baseball and coaching are crazy. Like, he'll talk about something, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just like what I do. Or when I say it and I'm like, it's just like in baseball. And there's so much similarity, even though they're completely different things, that we can relate kind of on a similar line with that, right?
Sure. Yeah, I think once I really started, maybe not so much youth, 11 and 12-year-old baseball, but certainly at the high school level, you think you begin to get into people's, maybe the kids, they have a passion. And so the mama bears and the papa bears can come out and decide that they want to influence the outcome in one way. And we're in the business
I
world.
can now hear the squeaky toy. It's my favorite.
Yeah, he's coming with this.
Okay, wait, hold on. Hold your thought. Throw that toy out the door, and we're going to enlist our adorable son you've all met, Sebastian, to play with Winston. We're almost out of clothes, friends. Sorry for the Winston toy, but it's true, especially high school baseball, right?
Yeah. Because you are getting into where these parents have they've been to thousands of games for their kids, similar to how they've been to thousands of plays or musicals or whatever
Title shows,
performances, for their own kids. And as my late great baseball coach used to say, is your mom thinks you're the greatest baseball player in the world. And he would say it with a little gruffy voice, but and we all think our kids are the greatest. And when they don't play or they don't get a role, and so I do see that more nowadays than I did before, because it was pretty much just because in youth baseball, especially little league, everybody plays, everybody's friends, it's not that serious. But at high school, the stakes are a little bit heightened, and everybody thinks they're getting a scholarship somewhere, or at least wants to, and the parents have invested thousands of hours and thousands of dollars. By that time,
The stakes are high then, like they've built it up to be something so crazy, which, Christopher, we deal with all the time with our students.
So I mean, I think
100%.
I think you do have a bit of that crossover where, because we're dealing with family dynamics, and either mommy or daddy think that their kid should be doing something that they're not doing because it's your fault.
That's it, right? It's your fault. It's our fault. But I do think Jerry's really good at that stepping back.
Here's the deal.
What's the deal?
The deal is that if you want to coach the baseball team or you want to direct the show, you go right ahead. Until then, quiet down.
And that's actually the truth, right? And I think he's so, something I admire about you is he's so level-headed, and he's so, things don't affect him personally, and he doesn't take things personally, and he's very like, you, compartmentalism is not the right word, but he can see past that like parent emotion or whatever it may
Right.
be, and be very diplomatic and very like, okay, and we're moving on. Like, this is where we're going. And exactly that. Like,
Right.
if you want to coach the baseball team, then awesome. Step on up, right? You know how to do choreography? Cool. Come on in and do the job. And Christopher, I
do
know you
that.
see that too when vocally kids are, it's the exact same
Oh.
thing.
They're like, well, I want this part. Well, great. Next time you're in charge and putting your own show together, your one person cabaret,
You can do it.
you go right ahead and sing whatever part you please.
Exactly.
Until then,
I don't
do
think
what
you
I
guys
say.
have the luxury of having two different, like, 'cause I have the business world that behaves a certain way. It's rare.
Mhm.
It's rare for that business world to kind of to get personal.
Yeah.
You guys, it all kind of just, you know,
Yeah.
it's a bowl of spaghetti for you guys. Yeah.
Bowl of spaghetti.
Yeah.
I love it.
Instead of like waffles, right, where everything's got its little compartment.
That's a great analogy. It's
Yeah.
a bowl of spaghetti and not waffles. That's going to be the title of this episode.
There you go. I like that a lot. But I think anybody in the entertainment or anything similar in an industry like that where everything is really personal because it's you putting yourself out there. And so it's hard not to feel like things are personal, whether you're on a director side of the table where you're creating, or whether you're on an actor side where you are creating in a different way,
Yeah.
where you are putting your own voice on it.
There's so much emotion.
Yeah. Is just to remember, and I've said it 1,000 times, I don't know how much I've said it on this podcast, but you have to remember, if someone's coming at you, it is likely not about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's something happening from their end, their reaction. It's like their reaction. It has likely nothing to do with you.
And I think
personally.
too that like on top of parents, right? Like, I'm so grateful I am a parent, because when it happens with parents, whether it be with baseball or whatever sport or coaching or school or a show, you have that moment of like, okay, this is a parent's thing. Like, they are having a mom or dad moment. And like you said, it's not essentially about me, even though they're coming at me. That's the only person that can take this conversation. Why is my kid not first in the lineup? Why is my kid always in the outfield? Why did my kid not get this role? Why are they tree number 5? P.S. Tree number 5 is important. You know, it's just, it's one of those
Yes.
things that it's like, they don't know who else to direct that energy at. And sometimes you have to, it's really good advice, Christopher, of just like, it's really not a personal attack on you. And you just have to, you know, understand they're having their, my kid is the best baseball player. What do you think? Your mom, what is the saying?
Right.
Yeah, your mom thinks you're the best baseball player in the world.
We say it all the time, even if it's not for baseball. Oh, this kid's mom thinks that he
Yeah.
is the best whatever for whatever.
Yeah.
It's true. And your mom should.
Yeah.
Come on. I think Sebastian's the best
That's
baseball
right.
player ever.
They need to be your biggest cheerleader.
But
They
again,
should
then
be.
don't direct your crazy at the coach and or director and or teacher and or whomever. Like, deal with your crazy, which is what I hope Jerry gets. Jerry gets my crazy so that the teachers and the people that deal with my children don't get the crazy. Right? You kind of get the crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think the other
Oh,
thing
man.
too, like, I mean, we've been quote unquote parents for 20, almost yeah, it's all, a little over 17 years, obviously 21 years because the oldest one is 21. You do certain things with like the oldest ones, and then you try something else with the middle one or the next one, and you hope. I think one of the things that I always told my kids was, I'm not here to be your friend, right? I'm here to be your parent. And, you know, I think if we can take a step back and remember what our main goal is, I think as parents, to maybe it's not some of their main goals, and maybe it's not at the top of their list, but I think everybody wants their kid to be a contributing member of society. They can function relatively well within society. I say relatively well, yeah, because everybody's got their quirkiness, their likes and dislikes and all that. But I mean, man, parenting is hard, and I think most of these parents have
For real.
their kids' best interests in mind. But I think the goals are a little bit skewed.
And I think too, it's becoming worse and worse. And I think I still think it existed when we were younger. Of course, I think given, technological advancements, social media, all these different things, like it just exacerbates the situation a bit, right? But I do agree. And Christopher, I think being parents, I'm grateful that we've parented several children thus far, because I can't imagine being a coach or being a director or even being a teacher. My understanding and empathy and grace for some of these parents who act fools, or people who kind of go on a side tangent and down a road that I'm like, oh, okay.
Or just go completely sideways.
Yeah. I do think even though we deal with it and we're frustrated, we do have that grace as a parent of like, okay, like I'm going to understand this parent side of it a bit. But yeah, it's tricky. And I agree. It is something we've said to them often. Like, eventually, I think we'll end up being their friend. I'm fine with that in the long run when they're grown people.
Late 20s.
What'd you say?
In their late 20s. If they come back and want to have a beer or a glass of wine, and if they'll let us babysit their kids, I think we've done a pretty good job.
I love that. Jerry is like ready to do that because Jerry's a good babysitter. He's good with the babies. But I think it's true. I think oftentimes, and we see it a lot, is that parents so badly don't want to disappoint their kids, and they don't want to let their kids down, and they want to be their kid's best friend, and they don't want to make them mad. And it's hard sometimes. It's hard. Parenting is hard. And I think having that moment and just that reminder of like, I've been blessed with these humans. That's my job, is to raise them, is not to be their friend at the moment, to make those choices on how to parent them. Jerry has said that a lot to our kids. I feel like it should be a mantra somewhere in our house.
I don't think it's good. I think for me, having grown up being an athlete, have somebody who wasn't in that world give some perspective. I think it's important. I think Charna mentions it. She mentioned to me, like, it was probably in the middle of this last Little League season, that like there's been, I don't know, 22,000 Major League Baseball players in 120 years. But there's been millions of kids who have played the game, right? So the statistics are like 0.005 kids that ever make it to the big leagues, right? So why are we taking this so seriously when most, if nearly all of these kids don't make it? They don't make it.
And I recall that conversation.
Yeah. And it was a good reminder that instead of trying,
it helps keep things in perspective.
Yeah, but instead of trying to coach the next Mike Trout, for example, or Shohei Ohtani, you're just going to coach the next fill in the blank, right? Sebastian Lopez, whatever he's going to become, but you want them to be good human beings. You want them to be great teammates, because everybody can be a great teammate. They don't have to be the best baseball player.
And it's the same, Christopher. You and I, it's one of the reasons I love working with you. And I love that you mentioned that conversation, because we're the same way, where we want the kids. And I said this a lot in my curtain speech with Something Rotten, our last show, where I know most of these kids on this stage are not going to go on to do this as a career. They're not going to be Broadway stars. This moment right here is what's important. And we want the experience for them to be positive, for them to learn, collaboration skills, for them to learn to be a part of a cast, like you said, like to be a good teammate, because those are the lessons that they'll take with them. Yes, singing your face off and doing 7 turns or whatever whistle tone harmony Christopher has them do. Like it's impressive and it's awesome. But it's not the end all be all. And when you're in the moment you're in, it's hard because we have high expectations and we're all very good at what we do. But it's true. Could you hear that? Winston, he wants to be on the show. My goodness. All right, look at this.
It's all right.
Look at
He
this
already was
bonus
on the show last
episode
week.
from my husband that has turned into
You guys.
a full JLo episode.
I know. It's like
It
25
didn't-
minutes going.
It wasn't so much about listening.
We somehow took a turn from Jerry listening to baseball, parenting, and all the things we like to talk about on Uncommon Pod.
But it's about awareness. It does fall under
Yeah.
our theme for the week, which is awareness.
Being aware.
And spaghetti and waffles.
Spaghetti and waffles.
So
Christopher, on that, can
I'm
you
here
hear
for it.
Winston?
I can. I don't know if it'll stay in editing, but I can hear it right now.
Wow.
We'll find out.
All right, friends. Well, you got a little glimpse into the
Wow.
Lopez house and what we deal with over here
Yep.
with our dog. Babe,
That's
thanks for
right.
joining us.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, JLo.
I told Christopher, I said, I don't know if he's going to come up here, but he did, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
But here he came. Full throttle. All right, everybody, check out uncommonpod.com, like and subscribe on YouTube, follow us, and reach out on Instagram at Charnopher Official. And on that note, Charnopher out.
Baby, you got to go like
And JLo out too.
out. JLo, out.
Boom. There it is.
Babe, thanks. Now we got to do like a,
This concludes another episode of Uncommon Sense. If you're ready for more of this fresh, hilarious, and unique perspective on the world of entertainment, education, and life, be sure to subscribe right now to catch every episode. If you gasped, laughed out loud, or even snorted, share the show with your friends and aspiring entertainers because, let's be real, sharing is caring. For more Charnopher, tune in to their witty insights by checking out the website uncommonpod.com or connecting on social media. Tune in next week and get the real insider scoop on another episode of Uncommon Sense.